Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we are out riding the all-new, at least for the United States, Honda CB1000 SP Hornet. This is the second Hornet that we have ridden this week. We just got off the CB750 yesterday, had a great time with that bike. So if you do want to see the video on that, check the link below. But today is about this big boy. It's a 4-cylinder motorcycle making an undetermined amount of horsepower here. Honda doesn't officially publish a horsepower figure for the North American market. In Europe, they publish that it makes about 150 horsepower and about 77 pound-feet of torque, but we do know we're at least a little bit lower than that. So some people are putting figures around 120, 130. I think 120 is a little low, but let's say 130 horsepower, maybe high 60s pound-feet of torque. And it does that all along with Brembo brakes in the front, ABS, of course, traction control, rider modes, quick shifter up and down, and most importantly, a starting price of $11,600. Obviously, that's before dealers have their way with your wallet, but just know that Honda is trying to give you this bike as affordably as possible. And that's the ethos of this Hornet lineup. Both the 750 and this 1000 are made to be accessible, just fun. They're supposed to be this kind of, yes, aggressive, but more so just a lighthearted motorcycling experience. This bike weighs about 460 pounds, wet and ready to ride. Comes with a remarkably large muffler right here, a 4-into-1, that you could probably shave some weight off of if you got something aftermarket. Of course, you could clean up this little rear fender section as well, and then really bring out the bug-inspired styling of this Hornet model. You can see this big sort of tail aspect that still gives a very small passenger pillion pillow right there. And then you've got this big, wide fuel tank haunch right here for your legs to go around. And then kind of this narrow beak face, the 1000 getting the split headlights, and then the 750 getting more of a single unit right there. We only get the SP model here in the States, so we're getting more advanced suspension, these gold forks, the Brembo brake up front, Nissan brake in the rear, Öhlins shock in the rear, but not in the front. I think we got Showa adjustable shocks in the front. We got adjustments for rebound and compression up front, and then rebound and compression in the rear, clickers, and then obviously, of course, rear preload. No self-canceling turn signals like the 750 gets, and no ambient temperature reading like the 750 gets. So you don't get to see what the temperature is outside on this bike. Fairly basic gauge cluster as well. It's just a dinky 5-inch TFT screen. Easy enough to read. You can customize whether you want your tachometer to be a bar or a circle or invisible. And then you can also customize whether you got black or white for your background. But other than that, it's pretty much just telling you your speed, and you get clock, fuel, gauge, gear, and ride mode. That's about it. So today we are outside of Sacramento, California, and we are riding a whole mixture of roads. We had some city riding, we've got some kind of rural town riding right here, then we're gonna get up into some good mountain twisties and wrap things up. And here we go, city ride. First thing you should know, very different character between an inline 4 and something like one of the bigger twins that we're seeing take over the marketplace. Not a whole bunch of grunt down low. Honda seems to have tried to remedy that with a bit of an aggressive throttle tune, kind of right off of idle, if you will. Now in Europe, they get an adjustable baffle, like I can't remember the specific term right now, but an adjustable valve, I think, in the exhaust for higher revs. But we unfortunately are not getting that here in the States. Something nice that we can't have. If you're somebody who likes to short shift and likes a round town grunt, inline 4 is not for you. But if you are somebody who likes higher speeds and big sweepers, that's where this engine comes into its own, above 6,000 RPM. This is a retuned version of the 2017 CBR 1000 RR motor. with a transmission that is geared more toward friendly, lower speed riding. So the gear ratios are lower, second through fifth. And then sixth gear is very tall. So when you're cruising 70 miles per hour on the highway, you're only about 4,500 RPM. Got some tight twisties here on the CB1000. And I've actually set up a custom mode with the engine braking a little higher. And performance, well, I've got two different performance settings. I got the standard with max engine braking and medium traction, and then I have a sport performance with full engine braking. I'm going to try that next. We're trying the first one, and so far, initial impressions, it seems maybe a little bit more helpful, especially on these downhill sections, because it's just giving me a little bit more natural slowdown, keeping a little bit of weight off my wrists, a little bit less braking necessary. I mean, I could just be applying a little extra foot brake, but you know, why not let the bike do it a little for me? We'll see how it goes. Playing around with these 750 guys, they're having a little bit more fun in these corners, but we're able to keep up with them. This requires a little more work. The front end is a little, I don't know if I want to use the word jittery. It's what is quick and responsive in the city is a little bit disconcerting at higher speeds doing tight twisties. There's a playfulness up front that doesn't inspire a ton of confidence. It's not a feel of, okay, the bike knows exactly what you want to do. It's sort of like, hey, bike, this is what I want to do. It's like, okay. There's also a jumpiness to the accelerator. It just requires really precise throttle control. Some of the other riders are going into rain mode in order to smooth out that throttle. I mean, it is an electronically adjustable throttle, so yeah, you can do that, but then they're sacrificing their high end. So maybe Honda will retune the accelerator. I don't know. Either way, I'm just kind of taking it as an opportunity to improve my throttle control, kind of riding with the control, the throttle in my fingers. But so far, I'm loving the opportunities to open it up, get it well up above 8,000 RPM. Problem is, when you're dealing with this much power, it's not super frequently that you can do that. When you're on something like the 750, you can open it wide open pretty frequently, pretty often. Not necessarily the case for the 1000. You're just dealing with so much more. The seating position does accommodate a more aggressive riding position better than the 750. I feel more comfortable leaning into it a little bit more, getting my torso a little bit more over the bars. 750 is a little bit more upright. Now we got it in sport performance mode, so we're gonna feel if that's a little too much. Most of the things I've heard and read, it's too aggressive for street riding, so we'll see how it feels. right, so it turns out the CB1000 SP just needs to be learned a little bit. It needs to be understood. I feel like a pit bull owner right now, where the, you know, to the untrained user or owner, people are like, oh no, the people are terrible. But to the people who know the dog, they're like, no, it's a fantastic dog. You just got to know how to train it and how it operates. And that's kind of how I feel about the CB1000 right now. Get it on the right roads and grab it a little bit, tell it who's boss. This thing's a gem. It's something you actually got to work for. I will give the credit to the 750, and I know this has become a lot of a kind of comparison video, not really intended to be, but it's just the fact that that's what we've been riding these last few days. The CB750 is so much more available and approachable to any sort of rider. And I will still go as far as to say it's more fun than the 1000. But the 1000 is more exciting. And you got to understand the difference between those two as a rider. You can have fun without being very excited. Fun is like blowing bubbles with a giggling 7-year-old or something like that, or tossing the football with your bros. That's fun. It's not exactly exciting. Exciting is a roller coaster, or winning a big poker hand or something like that in Texas Hold'em. I mean, that's exciting. It doesn't necessarily, it's not always fun. You might be like, oh man, I'm glad I won that pot because that was the rest of my cash. The CB1000 is exciting. The CB750 is fun. Now, that's not to say that that can't be exciting and this can't be fun, but by their basic nature, from how Honda intended both of the bikes to be, that's what we're getting. Is that's the fun bike, this is the exciting bike. So when you learn how to really bring this out and how to control it and what it really is capable of, there is more reward on this bike. But if you're somebody who just wants to get out and ride, then there you go. Honda's got the 750 for you. And you also got to think about what goes into the overall motorcycle ownership experience, because the 750 is likely going to cost you less in insurance, less in fuel, less in maintenance, less in tires, brakes, everything. So you're going to be able to enjoy riding that much more because you're spending less money just to do it. Whereas here on the 1000, you're paying more for the privilege, having that extra power and that extra capability. Got a nice little rip here through a little photo section, a few good twisties. Just the right amount of power to just really love getting it up into those high RPMs, letting it pull. And the motor's happy to be up here. Here we are coming into our final hour with the CB1000 SP. As I said earlier, it's a bike that you learn and earn. It's not like the 750 where you can hop on at pretty much any skill level and have a great time. This motorcycle does best on roads that work for it and with a rider who's willing to work for it. And if you have those and are those qualities, this is an awesome bike. I mean, for $11,600, I really can't think of a more approachable 1000cc inline 4 motorcycle that's this playful. I mean, it really is. It has to be taken a lot more seriously than the smaller displacement bike, but there's a lot more there for those who are willing to experience it. An easy distinction between should you get the 750 or the 1000 is, do you like to spend time above 100 miles per hour on your motorcycle? Now, that can be in any sort of riding situation, track riding, country road riding, highway blitzes, whatever you choose to do. If you like to go above 100, get the 1000. It's pretty easy. The 750 will do it, but it just starts to taper off around 90. This bike continues to pull, and it's got satisfying gear changes well up above 100 miles per hour, allegedly. And with that, it's got the stability and the suspension and the brakes to handle those speeds regularly. But if you're somebody who keeps it sane and legal and just likes to have a good time on two wheels, that's where the 750 lies. I mean, that's really a giggle machine. It's fun, it's lighthearted, it's lightweight, it's easy. This is a bike that you earn the power, you earn the extra weight, the bigger displacement. It's a satisfying motorcycle. I've had a great time riding it, and admittedly, I'd like to spend more time on it. I'd like to really get to know it. Now, I do have that Kawasaki Z900 waiting at home. I'm gonna have the review on that in a few extra weeks. So check the link below. Well, I probably won't add a link, but you can check the link below for our motorcycle playlist. It'd be on there if it's already published. And then you can just subscribe and check it out when it comes out. And that bike's got a lot to like too, but I don't think it quite has the character of this Honda. This is a fun little bike. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the CB1000 SP, check the link below. You can catch our no talking winding road video. A lot of the different roads we've been running today. If you want to see the video on the 650 or the 750, check the link below as well. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, ride on.